With tempers flaring and fists flying, who do you think has come out on top in the battle for the title of the best fighter in NBA history? I know what you might be thinking, that the NBA is all about sinking baskets, not throwing punches, but throughout its history, the league has seen its fair share of on-court brawls and off-court feuds. Today, I'm going to count down the top 5 NBA players who you wouldn't want to mess with. From ferocious big men to lightning-quick guards with nasty right hooks, we'll be looking at the players with the skills, strength, and attitude to back up their claim as the best fighters in NBA history. Basketball may be a non-contact sport, but sometimes players just can't help but get physical. Emotions run high on the court, especially with so much at stake during important games. And when you have larger-than-life personalities colliding at full speed, tempers are bound to flare every now and then. Some of the most iconic moments in league history have involved an exchange of fists rather than buckets. But which players consistently struck fear into the hearts of their opponents? Stick around to the end as I reveal who has earned the title of the undisputed best fighter in NBA history, someone you definitely wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley after the final buzzer sounds. Let's dive in. Number 1. Karl Malone, the power forward with a punch. Karl Malone spent 18 seasons as a dominant power forward for the Utah Jazz, racking up 36,928 career points. But the mailman was known for more than just delivering on offense. He brought a physical toughness and willingness to throw down that make him one of the greatest fighters in NBA history. At 6'9" and 256 pounds of muscle, Malone used his size and strength to out-muscle opponents in the post, but he was also lightning quick for a big man and not afraid to lay down a hard foul or throw an elbow to clear space. Malone's aggressive style often boiled over into scuffles and confrontations. In his early days, he scuffled with fellow power forward Maurice Lucas, throwing punches that cemented his reputation as someone you don't mess with. The mailman's mean streak was on full display in a 1991 fight with Joe Klein, using a flurry of fists that sent Klein's glasses flying. While Malone developed greater composure over his career, he never shied away from physical play that sometimes crossed the line. His willingness to get in an opponent's face and back down from no one in the paint makes Malone one of the premier brawlers in NBA history. Number 2. Charles Oakley, the NBA's greatest enforcer. They didn't call him Oak Tree for nothing. Charles Oakley made a name for himself as one of the NBA's most intimidating enforcers over the course of 19 seasons. The 6'9" power forward was built like a brick wall at 245 pounds, using his strength and sheer physicality to clear the paint. Opposing players quickly learned that driving the lane against Oakley meant risking a hard foul and unsportsmanlike conduct that bordered on assault. Beyond his penchant for hard hits, Oakley never backed down from an altercation. He was quick to rush to his teammates' defense and happy to exchange shoves, slaps, and punches with any opponent. Some of Oakley's greatest hits include scrapping with Charles Barkley, trading blows with Dennis Rodman, and initiating a bench-clearing brawl by slapping Jeff McInnes. His role as a designated brawler resulted in 13 ejections and countless fines over his career. No matter the consequences, the Oak Tree carved out a niche as the guy you didn't want to tangle with under any circumstances. His willingness to play enforcer and get in fights solidified his legacy as one of the NBA's all-time greatest bruisers. Number 3. Kermit Washington, the punch that almost killed Rudy Tomjanovich. The fateful punch that Kermit Washington delivered in 1977 had greater repercussions than any other NBA fight. The Los Angeles Lakers forward was known as a physical player with a hot temper in the mold of Oakley, but he took it way too far in a game against the Houston Rockets, throwing a devastating right hook that nearly killed opposing player Rudy Tomjanovich. The Tomjanovich punch started with a scuffle for a loose ball. When Tomjanovich rushed in to break things up, Washington turned and delivered a full-force right hand directly to Rudy T's face. Tomjanovich crumbled to the floor with blood gushing from his face in a gruesome scene. The devastating punch shattered his skull, jaw and face, leaving Tomljanovic clinging to life in intensive care. It took 5 reconstructive surgeries and multiple years for Tomljanovic to return to normal after the life-threatening attack. Washington was fined $10,000 and suspended for 60 days for his role in the violent incident that shook the league. While it was an isolated overreaction, the unprecedented force of Washington's blow earns him a spot among the NBA's all-time fighters. Number 4. Meta World Peace. Modern Era Bad Boy. Even a 2004 name change from Ron Artest didn't change Meta World Peace's knack for finding trouble on the court. The former Pacers small forward is best known for his prominent role in the infamous 2004 malice at the Palace Brawl against the Pistons. After a hard foul, World Peace rushed into the stands and assaulted a Detroit fan, triggering a full arena melee. He earned the longest suspension in NBA history at 73 games for his central role in the debacle. From elbowing James Harden in the head to fighting with Kobe Bryant in practice, you never knew when World Peace's short fuse would go off. Off the court, he got into physical altercations, including punching a fan who threw a drink on him and challenging Yao Ming to a street fight via radio. Say what you will about World Peace, but the former Artest has proven to be one of the modern era's most volatile personalities, prone to violent outbursts. Number 5. Bill Laimbeer. The ultimate villain Bill Laimbeer embraced the role of designated goon during his 14-year Detroit Pistons career. The sharp-elbowed big man played an ultra-physical, dirty style that made him the public enemy number 1 in every opposing arena. Laimbeer was an expert at cheap shots, hard fouls, and mental warfare that complemented his sharpshooting touch. He would hack opposing players, then flop and flail at the slightest contact on his end. Laimbeer's shenanigans fueled the bitter rivalry between the Bad Boys Pistons and Jordan's Bulls in the late 80s and early 90s. The Bad Boy was not afraid to scuffle and stand toe-to-toe with anyone, famously taking and landing big swings in fights with Barkley and Robert Parrish. Even Michael Jordan admitted that while he hated Laimbeer, the Piston had his respect for never backing down. The 4-time All-Star embraced being the NBA's preeminent supervillain, and his ability to get under an opponent's skin makes him one of the league's craftiest and most violent instigators. While basketball is not meant to be a contact sport, some players come into the league with an extra chip on their shoulder and their fists flying. The great competitors on this list all had a willingness to engage in fisticuffs that defined their identities. From brutish enforcers like Karl Malone and Oakley to volatile personalities like Meta World Peace, the NBA has had its fair share of legendary brawlers over the years. And no player inflicted more damage with a single punch than Kermit Washington, whose near-kill shot still haunts the league. But with his combination of cheap shots, dirty tactics, and embracing the bad guy villain role, Bill Laimbeer takes the title as the best overall fighter in NBA history. Who do you think is the greatest of all time when it comes to dropping gloves and throwing hands on the basketball court? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.